When we put together a show like this, the art department often comes up with little customized things. So here we have a fictitious company called Tyler Industries. That's kind of the one of the bad guys in the episode, or at least the people running the company are doing nefarious things. And so this character played by Tom Amandis with the red hat on is one of the longtime employees of Tyler Industries, and so he's wearing right now a hat that the art department came up with that has a logo for the Tyler Industries company that we made up. Now there were a couple of hats like that. They didn't make a whole bunch of them. They made I think they made maybe only two, and so somehow, one way or another, one of our camera assistants, Mike Lookenland, managed to acquire one of these hats after the episode was done. And so, throughout the rest of the run of the Promised Land series, behind the scenes, Mike was often wearing a Tyler Industries hat. It's just by then, kind of a one of a kind thing that he would wear. And if you knew the show, you'd say, "Hey, well that's cool. Where'd you get that hat? I want one." Well, you couldn't. Mike had the only one that anyone knew about at that point. After that, so yeah, all kinds of little. They had to come up with the entire Tyler Industries giant sign in front of the building that we used at the very beginning of the episode. So that's one of those things, one of those details that the art department has to come up with. In fact, probably the headstone that you saw just a moment ago during Russell's little black and white flashback was also something that the art department would come up with. Either they went and had someone actually make a real headstone and carve into it, or maybe they just faked it with, painted styrofoam or something like that. All right, the actress you see here later in this sequence, someone refers to her by the name of Roz. And her real name is Roz, an actress who also, by this point, was doing a lot of work in casting and not so much acting anymore. So well known around the Utah film community. And so they gave her this small role in the show. And I don't know if in the script if the character had a name at all, but when Tom Amandis refers to her specifically, he does call her Roz. And in this case, Russell Greene is trying to convince Roz to grant him access to the computer of the company because he would like to see if he can look something up. Now, he says, well, I don't know much about computers, but maybe you could help me out. And she says, no, I can't. And then he starts saying, well, where do you live? Because do you know about the contamination and the people getting sick? And, maybe you should know about that. And so she says, oh, wait a second. She says, don't go away just yet. And so she says, I'm just going to step out for a minute, and here's my password, and, I'm just, don't tell anyone I did this kind of thing. So, okay, they've made a little deal here, and she goes to walk away, and, oh, surprise, just when you think that Russell's going to get on her computer and poke around and try to find something, she gets busted. Uh-oh. And here you see this. It's the surprise twist. Somehow Russell has convinced his wife's relative, played by Tom Amandis, to start looking into, wait a minute, has this company been dumping dangerous chemicals somewhere on the outskirts of town? And so they're going to start looking through the company records on the computer. And they're going to get to the bottom of this, and I don't think it's going to be too pretty. Meantime, one last little wrap-up scene as the family's talking to Mooster and hearing some of her extraordinary stories of meeting, a famous Indian chief and John Wayne and all these other stories she's going to tell. And at some point, Hattie is going to admit that even though you've been a pain in the neck this whole time, well, Mooster, I think you're a national treasure. And so they sort of reconcile that. And the kids are like, oh, this old woman that we didn't want to go out of our way to see suddenly becomes this fascinating person. And we're just so happy that we know her, and she's great. Now, I hesitate to mention, but there are rumors going around that maybe Cloris Leachman is not the easiest actress to work with. And I'll have to say there were some people on our crew who seemed to share that sentiment. But I would have to say, maybe I'm just clueless, it wasn't paying attention. I'm not sure if there was a difficulty, what it was. But the bottom line with that, when there is an actor or actress that, maybe for some reason are difficult to work with, all is forgiven when cameras roll and they deliver the goods. And so, if nothing else, you can say that when cameras were rolling, Cloris Leachman absolutely delivered the goods. And so, if there was any kind of difficult behavior going on, apart from when cameras were rolling, I guess it was all worth it. But again, it's just hearsay. I really don't know what anyone might have been complaining about. Okay, we're about to run into sort of the climactic, dramatic scene of the episode here coming up, which is when now Tom Amandis' character has done the research and has figured out that the company's been improperly disposing of its dangerous chemicals, and now he's going to confront this high executive of the company with what he's come to find out. Something a little bit awkward about this scene, if I do say so myself. You got three guys confronting this individual who's sitting in the chair, and you just got these, hard faces. The posturing of this particular moment here kind of, I don't know, it just kind of bugged me. It's just this kind of tough talk. How dare you do this? Don't you know what you're doing? And just these, what my friend would have said, tight-faced people, staring down this older gentleman and kind of telling him, we got the goods on you, and now you're going down, and you're in some big, big trouble. Watch out. And obviously, we are in the same room where we staged the scene of the birthday party thing. So this is back at the Salt Lake Community College, and it's difficult to remember because it's been quite a number of years, like 19 years now that I'm recording this. So I don't absolutely remember if we shot this before or after the big party scene. Obviously, the room is very plain here compared to how it was all dressed up for the party scene. Our art department, they have magical powers, so they could dress up a room or clean it out pretty quickly if they have to. But anyway, so. All right, there's your dramatic ending to that story, and this is the twist here that this guy Kyle seemed like a ne'er-do-well, but Russell, in his little mission as a person out there doing the work of angels out there, he was the one person who listened and figured it out that Kyle really did have a case and helped him in a way that no one else could have helped him, and that's the whole point of the arc of the story in Promised Land. So one final sentimental scene here as they're getting the cake ready for Auntie Mooster's 100th birthday. Now, they had a party already in this episode, the Tyler Industries party at the beginning of the episode, and now here's a few days later having some sort of other party. So I don't know when Auntie Mooster's actual 100th birthday was, but here they are getting a cake ready, which gives us an excuse to have a nice little sequence coming up as they light the candles and practically start a forest fire on this cake with 100 candles. I guess I could stop do a freeze frame and count the actual candles and see if it was really 100. I wouldn't surprise me if it was, because that's just the way our art department, our props people, set dressers, all those people working together, that's just the way they were. Yeah, they would have had 100 candles on there if that's what the script called for. So there you go. And a touching little scene here where Nathaniel says, Josh and Dinah thought it would be cool to take you to school for show and tell, and I think I would like to as well. So it's a cute little scene there, and Eddie was great. I mean, is great, right? But in this scene, he's I think he's 8 years old. I don't think he's turned 9 years old yet. So he's just a cute little kid, and and does a great job there with this tender moment with Aunt Mooster. Well, then what follows at this point is a voiceover, a sentimental voiceover where you're supposedly Dinah, we establish here, writes a lot of letters throughout the course of the run of the show. See, look at all those candles. I can't remember, but I think that you probably had about 5 or 6 people with those lighters that you to like light a barbecue. They have the long the long extension before the flame. I think they were probably working very feverishly to get all those candles lit in time to start the camera. But anyway, as I was saying, they establish in the narrative of the entire series that Dinah writes a lot of letters. So this is a voiceover at this point of Aunt Mooster reading a letter back to Dinah and effectively saying that one of the local kids took me to show and tell. We had a great time, and someday I want you to tell your kids and grandkids about that hero of a father that you have. So as I stated earlier, we brought Cloris Leachman back to play the role of Auntie Mooster again 1 year later, but the other guest stars of this episode did not return for that. Tom Amandas was not in the follow-up episode that was shot the next year, and I think there's a line in that episode, something like, he's out of town or he's doing something, but so it was interesting to get Cloris Leachman back, but sort of have this completely different kind of a story with completely different characters in the follow-up episode. And okay, there's the Airstream trailer. It can get rather rainy in northern Utah in September, and so just a quick little follow-up shot here. They're leaving, but in reality, they're just down the road, the same road that Aunt Mooster lived on. All right, well, I'll give you another commentary later. Thanks.